as in the county of Richland. It is now 3 o'clock. We'd like to call to order the Office of Small Business Ad Hoc Committee meeting for July the 25th, 2013. I wish it was 2013, 2023. I done knocked 10 years off. Madam Clerk, can you call the roll, please?
Branham,
Here.
Pugh,
Here.
Barron, Mackey, Newton.
Here, present.
We have a quorum.
All right. That brings us to item number two on the agenda, approval of minutes from April the 24th, 2023. Any changes? If not, Madam Clerk, could you call the roll,
Motion
please?
to approve. Second.
Properly moved and second. Madam Clerk, can you call the vote?
Branham,
Yes.
Pugh,
Yes.
Barron,
Yes.
Mackey,
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Thank you. That brings us to item number 3, adoption of the agenda. Is there any changes or deletions from the administration?
No requested changes, Mr. Chair.
All right. I get a motion for approval.
Move to approve. Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Madam Clerk, can you call for the vote, please?
Branham,
Yes.
Pugh,
Yes.
Barron,
Yes.
Mackey,
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion approved.
All right. We're moving on to item 4. That's an update from the Office of Small Business. But before we get that update, I know we've been kind of around the roller coaster with this ad hoc committee meeting. And after they give an update, we'll move on to item number 4. Is there anyone from the Office of Small Business office that, is it Ms. Erica Wade? You're recognized, ma'am.
I need to turn the microphone on. There you go.
Okay. Hello. There you go. Good afternoon. Erica Wade, manager for the Office of Small Business Opportunity. And just a quick update from since our last meeting. These are some of the highlights that we have working on currently. We've been able to set 2 goals on 2 projects that we have, the Public Safety Center and also Dirt Road Package O. Those are the ones that we're currently working on. As you know, we have the disparity study that's in progress. So we've just completed phase 1 of the disparity study. As far as the data collection, we were just able to submit all the data that the firm requested. And now we're getting ready to move into phase 2 of the disparity study. As far as our SLBE certifications, our office is still working hard as trying to grow our vendor pool. Right now, we are at 120 SLBEs that are currently certified. And we have 5 new applications that we are currently working on now, and hopefully we should get those completed. That would take our numbers up. Some of the upcoming events that we have going. So on September the 7th, 2023, OSBO was asked to serve on the panel for the South Carolina Commerce, and it's called Navigating. Join us for South Carolina Commerce for Navigating the Certification Maze. So we'll talk about our certification process, how to become certified with Richland County, and talk about some of the projects that we have coming down the pipe. And also on September 13th, we have our signature event that we've been having, our annual Engage Richland. And this year, we're focusing on evolving, exposure, and expansion. That will be our focus for our September 13th event. And that will be held at the R2I2. And right now, we're looking at from 9 a.m. to 2 o'clock p.m. So stay tuned. More information to come.
Date again
For which one?
for the upcoming event.
September 7th for the Commerce event, and that will be held at the Midlands Technical College. And September 13th is our Engage Richland event.
Do any of my colleagues have any questions
Mr.
or
Chair.
comments? Yes, ma'am. Ms. Newton, you recognize.
Thank you.
So first, thank you to the staff for all of the great work that you do. I have a question that's not really related to this general update, but will help inform the later conversation as we look at the ordinance, if it's appropriate now. And so my question is, as you look at some of the projects you mentioned, for example, you work with the dirt road package, let's say O, whatever the letter was. There are a lot of different things that you work at in Richland County. It would be helpful for me if I had a clearer picture of how your office interacts with other departments at Richland County, because you can't exist in an island. And so understanding, how you collaborate with the Penny projects or how you collaborate with other departments would be helpful. But Mr. Chair, if you think that that's an answer that would be better for me to receive later, I'm certainly open to that.
Yes, ma'am. I do think that's something that we can revisit later.
Perfect. And the reason that I'm asking is if we're going to talk about organizational structure, it helps to understand how you fit in into the organization. So thank you, and thank you, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Livingston, you recognize?
You mentioned phase one of the disparity study was completed, and we moved into phase two. Can you tell me just briefly what phase two consists of?
So with the phase two, they're getting ready to do interviews with some of our SLBEs and some of the company businesses that we work with. They're also getting ready to do a website, just to kind of let the community know that that Richland County is undergoing their disparity study. And it's the website, interviews, and public communications. So that's part of the phase two.
Thank you.
Do my other colleagues have any questions or any comments? Okay, thank you, Ms. Wade. Appreciate it. All right, moving on to item number 5. Item 5 is for items for discussion / action. This goes back to my comment earlier. I know we've been around the roller coaster trying to accomplish we've been around the roller coaster trying to figure out how to accomplish making this department standalone. Last time we were here, we talked about creating an ordinance that had this office reporting to the administrator. We were supposed to receive some feedback from colleagues, but I don't think that Mr. Wright received any comments. But talking to Mr. Wright, at one point in time, we thought that there was an ordinance that was already in place, and all we had to do was ratify it and have a vote and send it to full council. So with that being said, I'm gonna turn it over to Mr. Wright so he can explain and bring us all back to focus of where we need to be at with this item when it comes to the ordinance.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, basically the only thing we need is for this committee to determine what you want the setup to be. If you want it to be a standalone office answering to the administrator, you can move that happens, and that's the committee recommendation, and it goes to full council, and you make that determination. If you want it to be something else, then move to do that. But at this point, that's basically what we need to know is that what is ultimately the goal of this committee. What do you want the office to look like?
So in our last meeting, did we not move to have this office report to the county administrator?
No, I think what happened is that, people were supposed to give feedback and then we come back. I didn't receive anything. So we just need to know what the will of the committee is.
Ms. Mackey made a motion as regard. I remember that.
Okay. So basically what you're saying is you need a motion from this committee to move forward to make this office
Full
report
council,
to the county administrator.
If that's what the committee wants, yes.
I
Okay.
was referring to Mr. Chair on page. Bottom it says Ms. Carlos to work with to work with. To
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Livingston. Brenham, you recognize, sir.
Thank you. And then just reviewing the minutes from the last meeting as well. I had asked Ms. Wade about her preferred reporting structure. She indicated to the administrator was her preference as a standalone department. And then I also asked Ms. Wade about the goals and services that she'd like to see added to the office, which in this case might mean inclusion in a draft ordinance. And she indicated that everything that she had included in her presentation at our previous meeting, as far as the mission, services provided, and the goals were ones that she would like to see considered in a draft ordinance. And that was my position on that as well. So I would just ask for all that to be considered in any motion for today.
Mr.
Brenham, you recognize?
I'm sorry, Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
I just had this question: is there anything that's not already in the version that's already there that you want to change? Because we already have a version, and as you stated, you just need to know whether you want to just, like you said, ratify that and continue to be a standalone office as is already enumerated, or do you want to add stuff, or
Okay.
change anything?
So when you say, Mr. Wright, that there's already an ordinance that exists and we just need to say whether we want this department to report to the administrator, can you elaborate a little more? Because I think that's where we got mixed up at the last time, because when we said there was already an ordinance that exists, that came across as we just need to vote on it and send it to full council.
Right. There is an ordinance. Basically, I think what administration wants is to know what your will is for the office. Do you want it to be under another office? Do you want it to be a standalone office? And if you want it to be that, just do a motion that can be sent to council so the full council can have that voice to say, this is what we want.
All right, gotcha. Brenham?
I guess I'm just wondering as to the functions. Is that something that we should be thinking about right now as well?
If you want to change something, like if you want to change what the function is, you can. But if you want it to stay what it is, you don't have to, because it's already enumerated. So if you want to add something or take something away, you can do that. But if you want it to have the same function that it has, you don't have to do that.
Yes, sir.
Briefly, so where it's already enumerated, is that ordinance number, which ordinance number is that?
The 6414 HR, page 26.
Mr. Chair,
go
I
ahead.
guess the only thing I might ask then is in light of that, is whether Ms. Wade might have anything else she'd like to speak to on that, in the context of what 64-14 HR already says.
Hey, you're recognized.
So as the ordinance is written, we're good with it. We can just go ahead if it is your will to make the motion. I don't have my notes in front of me, as you stated earlier, just those little tweaks. But as it states in the ordinance, OSBO is good with it.
Mr. Brennan, you need anything else? All right.
Thank you.
All right. Ms. Mackey, you recognize?
Thank you. I think the last meeting, I, spoke just a little bit about having the office be a standalone, but also making sure that the office is really working more in conjunction with other departments. So not just procurement or not just transportation penny, but figuring out a way they're working more with economic development and business license and all those offices. And so I don't feel like I necessarily need that in an ordinance, but I think it's more of a, if we're making this standalone office, reporting to the county administrator, I do think as a body, as we work through our strategic plan, there is a goal that we have in there that's tied to this, equity, diversity study that we're doing, that when things come out of that, when we agree as a body, it is my thinking that the administrator can then go work with OSBO to get those done. And I don't want an ordinance necessarily to tie up what we would like to do through the strategic plan and initiatives that we would like to see. So I guess I want to make it broad enough to where it is more so, council or administrators' directives from what we feel we need to happen, and not having to go back and constantly change the ordinance because we were so specific.
Mr. Brennan, you recognize?
So, Mr. Wright, if we're leaving everything the same except for the reporting element,
Yep. And actually, if you go to page 27, 58-16 HR, it has it in there. So if you want to change anything, because the reporting would be as the state's already in there. So if you want to actually, add more to it, you can, but I mean, it's up to you.
so am I still recognized?
Yes, sir, you are.
Okay, so is this section 2? Is that what we're looking at, Mr. Wright?
Yes.
Okay, so that's got the definition. Where's the reporting piece?
Right there, what's Office of Small Business Opportunity. Shall undertake the other functions and duties as assigned by the county administrator or county council.
You need to specify that it's, that seems to already read for the reporting piece that they answer to the administrator.
Right.
So do reference a standalone element that's not there now?
No. And that's what, all you have to, if that's what you want to happen, all you have to say is in your motion is that, you want it to be as enumerated in, let me look at the ordinance number. And this is 058-16 HR.
I'm just reading like, if the position is to just deal with the reporting piece and we want them to report the administrator, that nothing would change.
Correct.
So we do have ordinance in place that they report to the county administrator.
Right. This ordinance is in place, and basically, I think administration just needs to know that that's your will for now. Do you want it to remain that way, or do you want it to be something different? Because right now it is reporting, my understanding, under procurement. So
Okay.
they want council to say that, okay, no, we want it to be a standalone.
So does it have to be a motion?
I would do a motion just so we know what the current council wants.
Yes, sir, you recognize Mr. Brown.
So to try to bring some level of clarity, there was information that was published and there was information that's not published, right? So that when people were looking at ordinances and what was the current reporting structure, people were giving different information. So that's why, this may seem like, oh, do we have an ordinance that's already been approved and adopted and all of that? That information was not readily available. So different people were given different information as to who I report to. So procurement thought, based off their understanding, that OSBO reported to them. OSBO said, I think at some point in time, the county council made a change. And so I think just for the sake of, full clarity, citing, which ordinance is the appropriate ordinance that is currently in effect, that this council, says is in effect really clears it up for everybody, rather than it going back to some point in time and it get back into that, when was what available. Because if you go back and you look at, and I don't know if it's been updated since then, but if you were looking at the county's website and you clicked on the ordinances at the time and you went through there, you would see where it said the Office of Small Businesses, the Division of Procurement, and all of that. So I think that's kind of part of the conversation has been, which ordinance is the prevailing ordinance that is currently in effect, and is that ordinance the same ordinance that you all want to be in effect, and we're 100% clear.
All right. Well, so with that being said, I'd like to make a motion that the Office of Small Business report to the county administrator as enumerated in the Richland County Ordinance number 05816 HR.
Second.
And moved and properly seconded. Madam Clerk, can you call for the vote, please?
May we have discussion?
Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry. Discussion. Ms. Newton, you recognize.
Sure. I have a different thing. So then again, the way that I read this ordinance that we are adopting is, yes, that the position or the department reports to the county administrator, and it also allows both the county administrator and county council to modify duties of this department that would not require us coming back to update the ordinance. Is that a correct interpretation?
Yes, as far as the only thing is like for county council to take an action, it would have to be an ordinance to take action. The administrator could do it without a vote of the body, and of course you can direct the administrator. But I would say the administrator can change the duties, and you can direct or recommend things to the administrator as far as what your desires are.
Certainly, I just wanted
Without
to,
actually going through the 3 readings
and that's helpful. I just wanted to confirm, one of Ms. Mackey, I think one of her questions from before. I mean, every time some little thing changes, we don't want to have to come back and update the ordinance. So
Right.
Thank you for confirming that.
Right, and that's why it says, and shall undertake other functions and duties as assigned by the county administrator or county council.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Ms. Barron, you recognize.
I just want to make just a general statement, because it really seems like we're having this conversation and having to do this motion for the sake of misinterpretation of what's been in place. And so I don't know whose job it is, but if we have if the information on our website is incorrect, that's a huge problem. If we have misinterpretations of ordinances taking place internally or externally, that's also a huge problem. And I really believe that council is placed in this position to kind of clean up some internal confusion. That's what it seems like to me. And I could be wrong. But, I sure wish that whatever we need to do, whether it's from council's perspective, administration's perspective, staff's perspective, that we all get in the sandbox and play nicely together. Because that's what it seems like to me. It seems like the reason why we're here is someone got a hold to some old information or some bad information, and we just took it and ran with it. And it's unfortunate that we have to do this. But, I hope that moving forward, we can continue to clean up some of the old information that we have circulating and put the most recent things out there. Thank you.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir. You recognize, Mr.
I can explain part of that. Part of that is that I know when I took over as county attorney and when Ms. Carrillo took over as clerk, the code online hadn't been updated since 2017, I believe. Since then, we've taken her office has actually filed the the documents with the clerk of court, which is required by law. And once she did that, my office has actually sent that information. I think it was sent in February, but it is a mass of documents, so they said it would take a while to get it all updated. But it is with American Legal, so I think that's part of it. Is that prior to I know prior to my tenure here, it hadn't been updated since 2017. So right now, they have it. They just have to actually upload all the documents and everything on their site.
Oh, just,
Recognize.
with that being said, thank you, clerk's office. Thank you, county attorney's office. I'm not throwing digs. I just want us to, live up to the level of excellence that, that we strive for every day. Thank you.
Do I need to restate my motion? No. All right. Madam Clerk, can you call for the vote, please?
Brenham,
Yes.
Pugh,
Yes.
Barron,
Yes?
Mackey,
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion approved.
All right. That brings us to item number 6. Adjournment.
Move to adjourn.
Second?
It's been moved and properly seconded. Madam Clerk, can you call for the vote, please?
Brenham,
Yes.
Pugh,
Yes.
Barron,
Yes?
Mackey,
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion approved.
And we're now adjourned.